Hey everybody on YouTube. Today I thought I'd take out another moment to do another vintage video repair. I have been working on an awful lot of equipment for a museum, well actually they're a moving pictures museum in Los Angeles. They sent me a lot of gear and this stuff is in pretty severe rough shape. A lot of these machines, they're in bad condition, so I've been going through them. But I've had some success. Today I've finished up working on two AV3600s. I tell you, it's pretty interesting. When you work on these reel-to-reel EIJ machines, the AV3600s, 8600s, 3400s, whichever model it particularly is, even the CV skip field units, you're going to find out that the biggest problem with these machines is the motor run capacitors. I've been coming across this quite often this past year. I'll get people who send me these machines, and after I service them and do them the specifications, the motors start to slow down on these things. I'll have them in play position, and all of a sudden the motors will stop dragging and slowing up. That's a sure sign indication that you have a motor run capacitor problem. Well, anyways, I've worked on a good 8 or 12 of these in the past year. I'm getting more every day, it seems like. But I'm finding out that, you know, the motor run capacitors are bad on these machines. So the best thing to do really is just to replace the motor run capacitor. As you can see in this pictures I've been posting right here with this video, that I use this bridge. It's a Mylar capacitor, and it's an actual 225, which is a 2.2 microfarad. It calls for a 2.5 microfarad, but I couldn't quite find one. But this 2.2 microfarad, which is number 225, works very, very well. As you see, I bridged the can for the ground, and I bridge it to the wiring connection for the motor coils, which are for the spindles of the spinning of the motor itself. If you do it this way, it works fine. You want to bridge it in the proper procedure. But it eliminates that can capacitor completely. All right, and those can capacitors do fail, and they fail a lot. I can't believe how many of those don't work properly, because what happens is these machines sit for years. And like can capacitors, they dry out, or they don't hold their electrolytes inside the capacitors very well. And then after years, you plug them back in, and they start to fail because they're dried out. So I'm finding that out, so I said screw that, I'm just going to change out the capacitors, the motor run capacitors with these Mylar ones. They work fantastic, folks. It's a capacitor number 225, 400 volts. It's a 2.2 microfarad. It works fine. It calls for a 2.5 microfarad, but this is close enough. It does the job with intolerances, so you want to change that with a 2.2. Also, I've been realizing that people are failing to check the fuses on these things. On these units, they have fuses. There's 4 or 5 of them that run specific areas of the machine. You might want to unscrew that fuse panel and take a look and check them with the meter and make sure they're good. Because if they are bad, that will also cause non-video, audio problems, whatever the situation is. So you want to make sure those fuses are working, they're not shorted out, and you change them. And of course, you know, like I said, the biggest problem with this is like I said, when you change out the belts and you notice that there is a brake coil below the drum where you connect your belt. Make sure that brake coil is not dragging on the drum when it's in full operation mode. Because if it's dragging, you're going to create noise, and you're going to create video fluctuations in the video looking like it's a bad belt when it's not. So you do want to check that brake coil. But then again, you also want to replace the belt and put a brand new belt on. But I wanted to point out that the capacitors in these AV series, even the skip field machines, the motor run capacitors, before you do anything, it's a good idea to swap them out. Just bridge a new one across the can itself. But use on the AV3600s, it's a 2.5 microfarad, but use this particular Mylar capacitor. It's a 2.2 microfarad. It works fine. It's 400 volts, and it will keep your motor running properly on startup and when it's in sync. You need these motor run capacitors to be working properly, or you're going to get really off-sync video when you're playing these things back. Video will be all over the place sometimes because it seems like it's a bad belt, and most of the time it's not. It's usually the motor run capacitor, but you want to check the belt, the motor run capacitor, and you want to make sure the brake coil is not dragging on the drum itself. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions about servicing EIJ, reel-to-reel, or vintage video equipment, feel free to drop me a line. Hope you have a good day. Bye-bye.